b'chol. Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da da Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. That was a great sizzle. You're absolutely right, Lynn. Best part of Havdalah. So we're now going to move our Havdalah candle out of the way as we move into our Tisha B'Av service. And I just want to take a brief moment. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear our voices clearly but not too ear-shatteringly? Great. Oh, thank you, Andy, very much. Andy is letting us know also that on this date, on the secular calendar, was the bombing of Hiroshima. Thank you very much, Andy, for bringing that to our attention. So as we move into Tisha B'Av, we are going to start with a nigun. You'll hear this melody later tonight when we chant the 3rd chapter of Lamentations. I'll sing it through once, and then I invite you to join in with me as we repeat it a few times through. It goes like this. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai. Please join me. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Tisha B'Av is the day that commemorates the destruction of the first and the second temple in Jerusalem. It is the lowest point in our liturgical year, and from where we sit in our vantage point in history, it's additionally tender because we have the memory of all of the other calamities since that have befallen us as the Jewish people, as human beings. And this day takes on sometimes an almost unbearable awareness. It can be almost too much to let in. And I want to thank those of you who wrote to me to let me know that you struggle with this day, because I think that is an experience that so many of us share. It's uncomfortable to sit in grief, and also really difficult to figure out when is it productive and when is it re-traumatizing. And I think that's a balance that each of us has to figure out for ourselves. But the beauty of this day is that we have this space carved out where we're together. And we don't have to sit in that grief if we choose to alone. We're together and we have the structure of our liturgy, our music, our prayers to help support us and to remind us that our grief is commingled with joy, and that memory can be both of those things, deeply painful, almost too much to handle, and also unbearably beautiful. So I invite you to figure out wherever you sit on that spectrum, how does your grief feel to you? How are you processing it? And I thank you for being with us wherever you are right now in this moment. And I wanted to share a teaching from the Talmud that I just became aware of yesterday. There's this beautiful drash from Keshet, which is the organization for LGBTQ Jews. I'll share the link for this whole drash if you'd like to read it, but for now, I'd just like to read this story from the Talmud. So for context, we're hearing the words of Rabbi Akiva, who lived just a few decades after the second temple was destroyed. And these are the words of the Talmud. Another time, Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues were ascending to Jerusalem. When they came to Mount Sophim, they tore their clothes. When they reached the Temple Mount, they saw a fox emerging from the place of the Holy of Holies. They started to cry, but Rabbi Akiva was laughing. The other sages said to him, "Why are you laughing?" And he said to them, "Why do you weep?" They replied, "The place about which was written, 'And the non-priest that draws near shall be put to death,' is now a den of foxes, and we should not weep." He replied, "That is why I laugh. It is written in Uriah, 'Therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed down.' In Zechariah it is written, 'Old men and old women shall yet sit in the broad places of Jerusalem.' Until the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, I was afraid that the prophecy of Zechariah would likewise be unfulfilled. Now that the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, I know that the prophecy of Zechariah will be fulfilled." In this way, they answered him, "Akiva, you have consoled us. Akiva, you have consoled us." Here, Rabbi Akiva is teaching us that whatever reaction we have is valid. We can be crying, we can be laughing, and we can hold all of those things together, separately. And wherever you are is just right, and we're together. So tonight we're going to be doing some singing, of course, and we'll be chanting from the Book of Lamentations called Eicha in Hebrew. And we're going to start off by singing the words Al Neharot Bavel. We'll sing in unison a few times through, and then we'll sing in parts. And as always, you're welcome to join us on either part. Al Naharot Bavel, Al Naharot Bavel, Sham Yashavnu Gam Bachinu, Bezochrenu et Zion. Sham Yashavnu Gam Bachinu, Bezochrenu et Zion. Al Naharot Bavel, Al Naharot Bavel, Sham Yashavnu Gam Bachinu, Bezochrenu et Zion. We've divided our portions of Eicha today into 4 different categories, and we start with numbness. These biblical scholars have told us are the words of eyewitnesses to the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem. And we feel their disbelief, their numbness, their grief. We'll have Katie read through the English, and then I'll chant the Hebrew.
Numbness. How does the city sit solitary, that was full of people? She has become as a widow. She who was great among the nations, who was a princess among the provinces, is become tributary. She weeps sore in the night, and tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers she has none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies. Yehuda is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwells among the nations. She finds no rest. All her persecutors overtook her within the straits. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn assembly. All her gates are desolate. Her priests do sigh. Her virgins are sorrowful, and she herself is in bitterness.
יהודה מעוני ומרוב עבודה, כל שערי השוממים, כהנה נאנחים, בתולתך נוגות והימר לה. And we sing together, Kol ha'olam kulo. All the world is a narrow bridge. Kol ha'olam kulo, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od. Ve'haikar, ve'haikar, lo lefached klal. Ve'haikar, ve'haikar, lo lefached klal. Kol ha'olam kulo, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, keshet tsar me'od, keshet tsar me'od. I invite you to share in the chat box or simply to think about this question. What is your narrow place? What is your narrow bridge? As we move on to grief, if you are still meditating on this question or still typing, I invite you to continue sharing your thoughts in the chat. Katie will read the English for grief and I'll chant.
Grief. I am the man who has seen affliction by the rod of his wrath. He has led me and caused me to walk in darkness and not in light. Surely, against me he turns his hand again and again all the day. My flesh and skin he has worn out. He has broken my bones. He has built against me, encompassed me with gall and travail. He has made me to dwell in dark places, as those that have been long dead. He has walled me about, that I can't go forth. He has made my chain heavy. Even when I cry and call for help, he shuts out my prayer. He has walled up my ways with hewn stone. He has made my paths crooked.
Ani hagever ha'oni b'shevet evrato, ho'tina hagriula choshech v'lo Bila v'sari v'ori, shibarot smutai, bana alai v'yakav, rosh utla'al, b'machashakim hoshivani, k'mitei olam. Kadar b'ari v'lo etzei, hichbir nechoshti, Kam ki yezak ve'ashaveya, stam tefilati, Kadar drachai begazit, netivotai va. Eli, Eli, Shema Koli. Please join us in singing these words. Eli, Eli, Shema Koli. Eli, Eli, Shema I invite you to meditate on the following question and share in the chat box if you would like. Whose voices do you want to hear in the world today? If you're still sharing your responses, I invite you to continue as we move towards our second part of chapter 3, recognition. Let him sit alone and keep silence, because he has laid it on him. Let him put his mouth in the dust. There may yet be hope. Let him give his cheek to him who strikes him. Let him be filled with reproach. For the Lord will not cast off forever. For though he causes grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his loving kindness. He does not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men. Let us search and examine our ways and turn back to the Lord. Let us lift up our heart and our hands to the Almighty in the heavens. We have transgressed and rebelled. You have not pardoned. Yishev badar vayidom ki natai loylav yiten be'afar pihu Ish tikvah yiten lemakehu lachi ispa b'cherpa ki lo yiznach leolam Adonai ki im hogav richam karov chasadav ki lo inam ilibo v'yagev neish nach pesad rachenu v'nach korah v'nashuva aid Adonai nisa levavenu el kapayim el bashamayim nachnu pashanu umarinu atai lo sailachta. Thank you so much for the moving and beautiful responses that you all sent me over the past few weeks. If you wanted to contribute but didn't have a chance, I invite you to continue sharing your thoughts in the chat box. I mourn friends lost to illness this year. I miss my mother and my father. I mourn for the holes in the fabric where people we love have been. I mourn the lives lost to COVID around the world. I mourn for the Black lives lost to police violence. I cry out for children who aren't safe in their classrooms. I pray for our children. I miss cooler days when the sun didn't feel so angry. I fear the rising temperatures and extreme weather patterns. I am hopeful that our generation will fight for our future. I miss inviting people into my home for meals. I fear for the health of young women. I pray for a world in which all people look with kindness on each other. I fear that COVID-19 will be rampant indefinitely. I cry out for all the people suffering in crisis that the press ignores. Turn and listen to the angry cries of the oppressed. I cry out for all the needless victims of gun violence in our country. I mourn for the loss of truth and civility in public discourse. I pray that the families of those who have died may find some peace. I cry out for the people of Ukraine and all other war-torn countries. I miss the reassurance that the sky was full of birds and the ocean was full of fish. I am hopeful that our planet will not succumb to the injuries to our environment. I pray that the needless wars will end. I am hopeful for a future with peace for all. Turn and listen to our guides and angels and the greater spirit. They never forsake us. I pray for clarity and resolve. I hope because I must. I am hopeful that we can find strength in community. Turn and listen to each other's voices.
Action. The Lord has spent his wrath. He has poured out his fierce anger. He has kindled a fire in Sion, which has devoured the foundations of it. The kings of the earth didn't believe, neither all the inhabitants of the world, that the adversary and the enemy would enter into the gates of Jerusalem. You, the Lord, abide forever. Your throne is from generation to generation. Why do you forget us forever and forsake us for the length of days? Bring us back to you, O Lord, and we shall return. Renew our days as of old. For truly you have rejected us, bitterly raged against us. Take us back, O Lord, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old.
Ki l'Adonai et chamoto, shafach haron apo, vayitzidish b'Tzion, v'tochal yesodotecha. Lo himinu malchi aretz, yoshvi tevel, ki avo tsar ve'oyev, b'sha'arei Yerushalayim, b'sha'arei Yerushalayim. Ata Adonai le'olam teshiv, ki sachai ledor vador. Lama לנצח תשכחנו, תעזבינו לאורך ימים. השיבינו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדיש ימינו כקדם. כאמאוס מאסתנו, קפצת עלינו עד מאוד. השיבינו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדיש ימינו כקדם. Please sing with us. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai elecha, v'nashuva, Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Hashivenu, As we move into the Mourner's Kaddish, in this time of Shloshim, we remember Bob Ruxin and our yahrzeits for Jim Medford, Caroline Lieber's father, and Patricia Kessler, Susan Kessler's mother. We invite you to share the names of those you are remembering tonight in the chat box. Gregory Caracas, Sue McHugh, Bob Rexon, the sister of Barbara, Bud Baluda, our memory of them is holy. We join together as one community of memory for the Mourner's Kaddish, and we rise in body or in spirit. Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divrach yiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. If you are standing, I invite you to be seated. And we sing together the words of Oseh Shalom Bimromav. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace for us and for all Israel and all who dwell on earth. And we say, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. It is so powerful to spend this time with you tonight in our grief, wherever we are in our journey, remembering that our memories and our stories are holy, and that we won't be in this low place forever. As we climb towards the month of Elul, we turn towards reflection, towards redemption, and towards hope. And we hold that hope with our grief and with our love and with our joy. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, friends.